Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. Relationships are everything in our lives. We are social creatures. We crave that connection. Sometimes you just want to be alone. That's okay. But then you have a relationship with yourself, which is so important as well. Because if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, you can't have a good relationship with others. We're going to talk about relationships today, how you navigate through all of this. And she is an international best-selling author, life coach. She's a Reiki master, so much more, intuitive. And she's back with us from Stepstone, Becki Koon on the program. Welcome back, Becki. How are you?
Hey, thank you, Steve. I'm doing great.
Yeah. Where do we start with relationship? You know what? Happy Friday, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So in terms of relationships, and we're going to talk about all different types today, family relationships. It could be with your friends, professional relationships as well. Is there some kind of umbrella baseline, anything that we should be aware of or should understand about relationships in general?
You know, I think one of the things that I work with clients a lot is relationship to self. Like you mentioned that, like, what is your relationship to self? Because that really dictates how you perceive the world around you and how you perceive others around you, right? So relationship to self is really critical to understand and be aware of when you're dealing with anybody else. So to me, that's key. Like, who are you? How do you perceive the world? And then recognizing that we are all sovereign beings. And by that, I mean, we have our own soul essence, our own awareness, our own life experience. And it can be, even though you're in a relationship with someone close, they still have their own life that they've navigated, right? Their own perception. Sure. And so it's always navigating, right? Those relationships and those perceptions and recognizing that it's okay that they have their own idea, their own life, their own awarenesses. And how do you let go of your expectations?
Very delicate balance, especially in a closer relationship between two where you want to have your own thing, their own thing, but you have your thing together. And sometimes many times your worlds come together.
Yes.
How do you know? Now we say the relationship with yourself is the most important. How do you know that you're in a good relationship with yourself?
There's a level of peace, right? There's a level of you don't judge yourself as much. You recognize that it's all part of the experience. It's all part of your growth. It's all part of, who you're learning to be, who you're growing into being, the soul essence that came here to experience a journey. I believe that we all have kind of some overall life experiences we want to come down and walk through in this life. Like, before we even get here, I have this, this awareness that a lot of times we do have these bigger picture perspectives at play. And so, but being gentle on yourself, when you start developing a good relationship with self, you're not as harsh on yourself. You're not as judgmental to yourself. You're more at peace.
And you have fun with yourself in terms of, even like you're dating yourself, I'm taking myself out today and I'm going to go here. I'm going to do this. And you're comfortable with that.
Yeah. Being comfortable in your skin.
Yeah. I really love what you said about not judging yourself so much. And we all do. But I can really relate to that in terms of, the journey. I used to really judge myself even like 3 years ago. And I notice now at this point, it's a lot less. And that I think that the biggest word here that you mentioned so far is you're at peace. The word peace, like you're good with yourself. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And, once you're in that state, then you're able to move into a relationship with others. Doesn't matter whether it's, a partner, children, family, colleagues, really, if you can maintain that level of peace within, it just makes everything else so much easier.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to different types of relationships. Let's pick
Okay.
one, call it a work relationship. How do you
Mhm.
cultivate those? How do you become as close as you can with your coworkers? Because you share things,
Yeah.
back and forth. How does that look for you?
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people have, I live in a valley here in Montana where there's a lot of healers. Okay. It's amazing. We have per capita, we have probably one of the most prolific healing energies here, right? So
I moved to Montana. I didn't know that. Wow.
so so it's but people have said, well, gosh, there's lots of competition, right? What is that? And I've got 3 women that I work with in my business. So, people have said, well, how do you do that? How do you navigate the competition? And it's what you have to do is recognize that we're all building together, an energy. Like there's more than enough to go around. The universe provides more than enough for all of us. And so viewing your colleagues or your associates from the gift that they bring to the table, like what is it that they bring? Because we all have a special gift and a unique aspect that we get to bring. And can you identify what that unique gift is in that person and then cultivate that? How does that fit into your gifts and talents? How do you come together and recognize that when we come together, we actually build momentum instead of competition? So it's like the energy of competition, right? It's always this continual clashing. And yet, if you can find a common ground and come together, the energy expands, growth happens.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I never thought of it that way. The universe is here, but supply and demand, when there's a demand for more, the universe is going to open up and provide it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, and in my
Interesting.
world, who doesn't need healing?
Oh, for
It's
sure. We all
all
do.
we all do. We're human. We're experiencing this journey that's like pretty intense at times and challenging. And so but the point is that if we can recognize each other, if we can see each other, then it helps because we can come to the table and we can create from an even greater perspective. When 2 or more are gathered, it's that whole concept. When 2 or more are gathered, the energy amplifies and it actually magnetizes then to you what you're seeking. So even in business, if you can find that common ground within everybody that you're working with, right,
Hmm.
or that common vision, you can all come together with that common vision and actually light it up.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I look at people I know, I'm connected to, either on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and some of these business people are always doing stuff with other people. They're at events. And it's not just about look at me, I'm doing this,
Right.
but they're connected
Yes.
and they're somehow what you just said, it's like they're magnets. It's people gravitate to them. They could be anybody, but
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
out there and they have a certain energy they put out there. And I do believe everybody wants to be part of the party, whatever the party is. It could be a launch of a
Yeah.
new, a store event or whatever. And they just show up, but
Exactly.
people around them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
Hmm.
kind of like what we talked about before, that whole idea of coherence, right? Coming together in an energy field that is mutual. And when it's mutual, when you can find that ground, it can just explode. It can be magical
It
if you
can.
allow it, right? If you allow yourself to see it.
Isn't it amazing how some people connect? Like in my journey, have a whole new group of friends.
Mhm.
And people even say to me, at your age, you don't meet a lot of people like that. I'm like, I don't know. It's just normal. Like, meet this one, that one connects, whatever. And I'm friends with 3 girls,
Mhm.
and we do things together. We hang out together. We support each other. We're in a, chat together. Uh,
Mhm.
Typically once a week, we do something together, whatever it is. Maybe one can't that week. But there's something magically magnetic about
Yeah.
it and we've only known each other. you have 2 years, maybe a year and a half. One of them,
Mhm.
for me, a little bit even less than that. But there's
Sure.
something there. And there's others
Yeah.
that rotate around.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
they don't
Mhm.
kind of permeate our thing. We're open, come on in. Like
Yeah.
but
Sure.
somehow they're not usually the best fit because they have different motives, and we just have the motive of supporting each other. That's it.
Well, if you think about it in terms of energy, okay,
Yeah.
energy is attracted to like energy. We want to resonate. Like we're trying to resonate at the same frequency with someone else. And so when you find people that you have that like that blending of energies and the frequencies, it's a beautiful thing. And if someone is coming in that isn't quite there, that like the energy isn't, it's not at the same place, right? The same
Yeah.
frequency,
Yeah.
it can, it just doesn't, it's not gonna gel, it's not gonna be the same, right? So it actually can repel. Like you can be an amazing person, but if somebody's not there energetically, they're gonna like go, ooh, I'm not wanting that, right? I'm
Yeah.
not wanting that light, or I'm not wanting that energy of that person, because it's going to trigger them. So
And vice versa.
and vice
It's working
versa.
both ways. Yeah. By the way,
Exactly.
if you want to reach us, instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. And even I don't even know what it is. This group of friends that I'm talking about. And there were some others around, like I had mentioned, and they have tried to come back and hang out with all of us. It almost sounds like high school, but it's not. Um,
Well,
but it doesn't work. And we've tried to help this one friend in particular. There's been some challenges, but we kind of overlook the things that she's done and try to support. And we know she has challenges like we all do. Um, but we feel she just doesn't get it. She doesn't
right.
get, I don't, she hasn't found herself. I really think that's what it is. She's just searching for herself, and
Right.
we're in a different place. So like you said, it's like the cogs in a motor, and we're set up a certain
One is
way.
off.
It's off. It's like, it's just not working. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. How about, let's look at intimate relationships now.
Oh, that's the tricky one.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, it's interesting because, we get so, um, we're naturally wanting to be with people. That's a human, I think it's part of our human experience, relationship, and to be in intimate relationship with someone. I mean, it's a huge draw for us. So, and I'm not saying, that it's the only way to be, but there is a huge pull to want to
Hmm.
have someone intimate with you, right? And yet, those can be really rocky. I believe that our intimate relationships are the relationships that challenge us to grow the most, that challenge us to look at ourselves the most,
Fair enough.
because the buttons get pushed. Like if you've got any kind of, little baggage, if any kind of little traumas, whatever, or big traumas, right? An intimate relationship can really put those in the forefront for you. But are you looking at it from a blaming lens, like they're doing this to me? Or are you looking at it from, okay, what am I experiencing? What am I learning? How am I doing this? What is it that I'm responding to and reacting to? So, I've
Hmm.
had a few relationships in my life, and and love them all. Like it's, love them all for what they were and the challenges that they brought me. So I would say my last relationship, my husband who just passed, that I wrote the book about, we had such a deeply spiritual relationship. And yet it was probably the most challenging relationship that I'd been in,
Wow.
because he pushed me to see
Okay.
myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting. Uh, Makes you think, like, all of this, as I'm rolling relationships in my mind. Um, and yeah, because when you're in a intimate relationship, layers have been peeled back. So you've
Yes.
exposed your soul a little bit more.
Yes.
Sometimes not enough. I've been
Yeah.
in major, longer relationships where, and it takes two. I got it.
Yeah, it
Um,
does. It does.
but that the other person didn't reveal certain things
Mhm.
and found them out later. However, this is my life lesson. Dramatic pause. I believe that everybody will show you who they are in the beginning, and you need to listen, look, and learn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we're so wrapped up in, oh, I just found somebody. They're so wonderful. This is going to be great. I'm attracted to them. We do fun things together. It's all great. And you don't see it, or you let it go. Yeah, it's nothing. Because I did that. And
Mm-hmm.
I was shown the signs in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
20 years earlier. And it's
Right.
like, whatever.
Yeah.
And they surfaced decades later,
Right.
and it was catastrophic.
Right. Well, because we get caught up in the energy of the newness, right? Of the
Yeah,
relationship. And
for
and
sure.
it's exciting and it's magical and it's, you get all those feel good hormones are pumping through the body.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So no, you're not really as objective as maybe you would be, down the road a little bit, or if you weren't, but you know what, Steve? The thing is, that's magic too. And so it's like, okay, it's what we do. It's our human aspect. And yeah, okay, we see the bigger picture later and we go through a really intense, hard time. And that's also part of being human. I
And
mean,
it's part of the journey. It's part of the lesson. I get you. I get you. And as I think back in this situation, when this was revealed, if this over here, wonderful person, fantastic, it's all great, da, 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 over here, this was minimized. If this wasn't here and this was just a regular person
mhm,
that I met or anybody would meet,
mhm,
this would be more like that in terms
right.
of, that could be a challenge there. Let me put that on my radar. But guess what? What am I doing? I'm talking about it, and I learned a lesson from it
Yes.
to and it's also how much are you willing to accept?
Yeah.
You might see
Yes.
those. We all have baggage, challenges,
Yeah.
issues.
Absolutely.
How
Absolutely.
much are you good with?
Right.
You know?
And when you're not good with it anymore, okay, you make different choices, and it's all okay. I mean, I think we get caught up in tell this story of Cinderella, right? Or we find our Prince Charming, he's going to save us. or
He's right over here. Okay.
well,
Yeah.
the reality is we're all beautifully flawed humans,
Not for
and
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have instant feedback. Dawn checking in from Sarasota, Florida. She says, I know we're in a retrograde and you're not supposed to start something new. I just met a guy and wonder how it will go or if it's not a good time to meet someone.
Wow.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that it's so individual. Like, okay, yes, we have retrograde. Yes, we're impacted by those energies and those things, and there are recommendations. But I would say go to your heart, go inside, go into your body, because your body is not going to lie to you. Your body awareness, if you can breathe into the body and bring yourself present, the body wisdom and the body awareness will never lie to you. It'll never lie to you. We get stuck up here like, oh, I shouldn't do it. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do that. Oh, this happened in the past. Oh, I don't know. I mean, our mind will get rolling, and let just bring it down into the soul aspect of you, and ask the question, how does it feel on a barometer? Like, so if you're on a scale of 1 to 10, can you get a reading, right? In that, regardless of what's happening universally, because guess what? We're impacted every day by what's happening universally. We're impacted by solar flares. We're impacted by, the gamma waves and the scalar
Sure.
waves. All of that stuff.
You're into scalar waves? Look at you. Oh, been studying that. Huh.
You have? Oh, great.
Goes back to Tesla. Yeah.
Yeah.
And where I, not to digress here, but where I am, I'm on Long Island, New York.
Uh-huh.
Tesla did his experiments about 15, 20 minutes away, not even.
Oh my gosh.
And they
Yeah.
created a little museum for him. But yeah, even learning that scalar light, scalar energy can be transmitted. And I met a gentleman who is trying to heal people by using scalar energy,
Yeah.
where literally you send him a picture of
Mm-hmm.
yourself and
Mm-hmm.
then he connects it to like 200,000 different challenges we might have, whether it's Lyme disease or whatever.
Yeah.
and using, you know, certain devices that he's developed, it makes a difference. And I've
Mhm.
seen people feel better. I'm going to be honest with you. I sent him my picture and I was having some ulcer
Mhm.
issues, and it made it better. Now,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I don't even think it's in my mind because I forgot he was even doing it. And then one day I'm like, wow, you know, it's been like a week since I sent him
Arnie,
that.
wow.
And, you know,
Yeah.
true, false, whatever, got nothing to lose. I just find it interesting. All of
Well,
this.
all of it, and I think we're like in the cutting edge of really beginning to understand how much the energy field around us affects us. And unlike, energy knows no bounds, right? I mean, you can have an energetic experience with someone across the world. It doesn't matter. It's like instantaneous. And yet there's so much that we are affected and impacted by and can use to our advantage.
Mm.
Think we're on that cutting edge, Steve.
We
It's
are. And
exciting.
it's so funny that more and more people are recognizing it, accepting it. This stuff's been around forever. Um,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and you know, we talk about Tesla. There's an M word that more and more people are learning and understanding called manifestation.
Mhm.
He was the king of it.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
manifested all of this the lights, the energy that we have right now. That started with him. There was no power when he started, and the 369 principle, if you Google it, where a lot of manifestation is based on, that came
Mhm.
from him. That's how he
Mhm.
did it. You know,
Yeah.
they've kind of cracked that code and made it for the rest of us to be able to manifest what we truly want in life. I know we digressed here, but
Yeah, but it's exciting, isn't it?
it's exciting, and it comes back to one thing: energy.
Mhm.
So a
Yeah.
relationship is
Mhm.
energy. It's
Mhm.
an
Yeah.
exchange of energy, and sometimes if it's not the right relationship, it's not the right energy. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
are
But the body
you?
radar is really what we can learn to use. We can learn to use this beautiful human physical vessel to
Yeah.
tap into the higher awareness that we are. That's going to tell us, we're going to know. I mean, it's going to give us signals. We can ignore those signals if we want, or we can, begin to pay attention. So,
This is the and you, me, everybody, the fortune teller. This is the, you know, little game with the 8 ball that, you know, if go around and reveals the answer. You have the answer.
hmm,
Um, you know, all of this being said, talking about relationships, intimate relationships, just have a
mhm,
couple of minutes left here. I want
okay.
to get your take on this. They say that we reevaluate our lives every 5 years, and in relationships as
Mhm,
well,
mhm.
the 7 year itch,
Yeah.
usually it takes 2 years to act on what you've evaluated 2 years before.
Mhm,
And I've looked back in my life, and there were changes in
mhm.
relationships at the 7 year mark.
Yeah. Yes.
I really think there's truth in it. What do you think?
I've experienced the same thing. Yeah, so I heard the same thing. It's like 7 year itch. I mean, choose this famous movie with Marilyn Monroe, right?
Right.
Seven.
Yeah.
Well, so I do believe there's something to that because we go in cycles. Life is a cycle, like one continuous cycle,
Mm.
and we read and we go through these cycles, and it's just part of the expansion. Is that each time you go through a cycle, you're going to come out hopefully even more aware, even more stable and strong, and yeah. So I absolutely believe that we go through cycles and timelines with
Ah,
with.
yeah. Yeah. And as I've learned in astrology, that's what it is. It's a timeline.
Mhm.
That's there's, you know, no magic, you know, fortune telling. It's the universe, the planets, all of it have a timeline set up,
Mhm.
predetermined, and astrology just looks at that based on things like your date of birth, time of birth, location, to
Yeah.
pinpoint the timeline. That's really what astrology is.
Yeah. Yep. And so this is the exciting part though, Steve, is there's people who are talking about this time in history when we seem to be going through a human consciousness evolution. Like we really are stepping into an aspect of us.
Hmm.
Part of it's technology, because technology has sped things up, right? We're sped things up. But we're also, as humans, going through this evolution that's, it's like the age of Aquarius. You hear different terms for it, right? We're stepping into this time. where we are going to see an expansion of our human consciousness in a way we've never seen before. But the universe is supporting that. The energies coming into the planet are supporting that. Like the place we are in the cosmos is supporting that. So more and more people are going to start questioning their reality. They're going to start tapping into themselves. They're going to start, yeah.
Before you said Age of Aquarius, I'm not even kidding you, Becki. Like 2 seconds before you said it, I thought it, and you said it.
See, that's it.
That's the energy. And then they say that a lot of us are in what's called the third dimension. Some of us have crossed into the fourth dimension. Well, yeah, basically, as I understand it, it's a certain type of awareness, but there's also the fifth dimension that we're just kind of dipping a toe into. Yeah. But when you put it all together, I don't know if we talked about this.
No. I don't know. I didn't. Yeah.
When you think back to the song Age of Aquarius, it came out, I think, 1969.
Yeah. Right.
The group that did the song was the Fifth Dimension. And I thought about that. I put it together. I'm like, duh, wow. They were talking about that then, 50 something years ago. And then here we are. And the evolution, it takes decades and decades to make these shifts or transitions.
But it's happening faster and faster. That's the part that's exciting, is that
exponentially.
Physical matter is hard to shift and change. Yeah. It's dense, right? It's very dense, but it's starting to shift quicker for so many of us. And we're stepping into these abilities to make shifts in our life much quicker. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we talk, it's energy. So if the collective energy is all, pushing forward here, it's going to support a quicker change. And the guy with the scalar light, and we talk about the masses here. I said to him, I'm like, why, if you can heal people, help people through this, why not get a picture of a stadium football game?
Right.
You just need people's faces.
Yeah.
And put it all out there. Yeah. And he said, I've thought about doing that, but ethically, I don't feel comfortable in doing that. He said, but you know what? You put a sign up as you enter a stadium that we're, going to be doing experiments or whatever it is. Then everybody's aware of it. And maybe it works better if people are aware. I don't know. But wow, we went in very deep directions here today.
We kind of did.
but interesting, but all coming back to relationships. I'm glad I have a relationship with you, Becki.
Yeah, me too, Steve. It's fun. It's great.
So if somebody wants to join the party and heal or get some insight or change their life through all the modalities that you offer, how do we find you?
Go to my website, BeckiKoon.com, BeckiKoon.com.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. So cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep positive energy, positive vibes, everybody. And then we'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay. Sounds great.
Thanks.
Bye, Steve.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.